Hi friends, Donny Carr here with another In the Studio. Everyone loves bass tutorials, so here's another one. I'm going to make a rolling, rumbly style bass line again, but in a different way from previous videos. So let's dive right in. I have this top loop and this kick just so we have something to work with here. There we go. Alright, I'm going to use 3x OSC for this, so I have it pulled up already. And on oscillator 1, I'm going to use a noise wave, actually. And on oscillator 2, a saw. I'm going to turn down oscillator 2 just a little bit. Let's send this to the piano roll. And actually, before we do that, I have it sent here to the mixer on track 30. I'm going to put a filter on here, just off the get, so I don't get those nasty super high noise coming through. Okay, so I'm thinking we go with a G note here. We're going to keep this really simple. Maybe make this one longer, and then maybe we'll drop down to an F, keep that one a little bit shorter. Maybe on this one here, I will nudge this forward in time a little bit. So I'm just going to select it, hold shift, move it forward with my arrow keys. Boom. And let's see how that sounds. Cool. I'm going to turn the top loop off for right now while we're working on the bass. That noise is just really there to thicken things out, fill out the frequencies. So yeah, let's go ahead and just filter this right down. We'll just kind of fine tune the cutoff spot here. There is no real right or wrong to this. It's just experiment, listen, play around with it until you are happy. I'm going to give this some drive. We'll drive this filter. Really beef up the signal. And maybe just give it a touch more resonance there. Yeah, just really simple half bar loop. Really, kind of going for like a rolling hypnotic type fill. In order to achieve that, you need to use smaller loop lengths. Okay, so we have that filtered down. I'm liking that. Let's add some extra bit of distortion. So I'm going to grab this wave shaper here. I'm just going to kick this up, give this a nice little boost, a little distortion. Added some gain there, so let's just pull that back a little bit. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to add an EQ. Because we're using the noise especially, I know we're going to get a ton of information down here super low, which we simply don't need. So let's do a low cut here. Yeah, you can see all that. Everything below, I don't know, 35, 40 hertz, just don't need. So I'm going to roll everything off below around 40 hertz. That's just going to give us a more focused sound, and it's going to give us a little bit of headroom as well to make room for other elements in the track. I mean, so it's just kind of flabby, and we just cut that little bit out, and it really just kind of tightens things up and really focuses the sound. So let's go to around 40. And then maybe we'll boost some of the low mids. Alright, maybe around 200. It's nice. Give that a little bit of a boost there. Nothing crazy. Roll the top off. Cool. Alright, next thing I want to do is maybe add some compression. So I'm going to grab Mr. Trusty, the 1176. I'm going to keep it on its default setting here. I'm just going to turn the ratio up to 8:1, and I'm going to squash this fairly hard. I want this to be a constant sound, and it needs to cut through the mix. So I'm going to take most of the dynamics out of it. This is kind of like, I guess you would call a techno style bass line, and in techno they use compression quite heavily to almost more a lot of times as a creative tool, but here I'm using it to really kind of squash the sound and clamp down on it a little bit. So let's dial this in. That's a little bit much. That's in the ballpark. Okay. Yeah. It just, I mean, we added a little bit of gain there, I think, but, or no, we're about level matched. But you can hear that it pushes the sound forward and the speakers a little bit, and just tightens it up. Gives it a more even, full sound. Okay, I'm liking that. We're going to leave that as is. Let's add a little sidechain here. This is important for this style bass line. And the curve, I mean, whether you're using sidechain compression or if you're using something like LFO tool or shaper box like I am here, where you can actually manipulate the curves. The curves that you choose make a massive difference on the actual groove and the relationship between the kick and the bass line. So it's really worth experimenting with different curve types, and yeah, you can get drastically different results. But I'm just going to maybe try out some of these curves here for the video. You could even draw these in manually as well. That's an option too. If you don't have this plugin or LFO tool, you could just draw it in. You can grab like the Fruity Balance or this free G plug, or you could even use the channel volume. I don't see why you couldn't use that either. I'll just automate that. Anyways, let's just flick through some of these curves here and see which one sounds nice. I like that one there. That's nice. Let's roll with that. Oh. Okay, cool. So now what I'm thinking is I'm going to send this bass line over to this auxiliary track here. And I'm going to add the dimension expander. I'm going to turn the wet all the way up. Maybe turn the size up a little bit too, just to maybe give it a little extra stereo width in the upper end of this bass line. So on the input of this, I'm going to roll off everything below around 150, just so on stereo systems we have a little extra width there without, you know, compromising our actual bass line here. So let's add that. Let's send the bass line over here. And that's nice. I might even just kind of some interesting little frequencies here around this 400-500 mark. This is exactly what I was talking about in the last video, where it's really worth experimenting with some, you know, heavy-handed extreme EQing and boost or whatever on auxiliary tracks. You can really kind of find little nice little pockets to pop out in the mix. I mean, sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does, but it's worth experimenting, I think. So I'm gonna maybe leave that boost there. I think that's kind of interesting. It gives it a little extra character. And let's distort this now. So I'm gonna add Deep Blood Overdrive. That's still a bit much. Okay, can dig that. And because we're adding distortion, I'm going to follow this with another EQ, because when you add distortion, you are adding harmonics. I mean, that's what distortion does. So I'm going to follow this with another EQ to make sure that, again, we're cleaning up the low end. I don't want the very low end affected by this, so I'm going to roll off everything below around 100. Okay, and then I'm going to give this the same curve as this one here. So I'm just going to grab this and we'll pull it over to our auxiliary track. Okay, and all right, not bad. Okay, next thing is some groove. And I'm going to add some groove by adding some delay. Let's just use the delay 2. We'll keep it nice and simple here. And I'm going to leave it on the 8th dotted setting. And let's maybe kick up the feedback. That's not bad. I'll turn this down a little bit. And that's really, yeah. And that might be a little much, but you can always dial that back. But that's really kind of giving it that rumbly, rolling vibe. Cool. So to finish this off, we need some modulation. When you're working with small loop lengths like this, like a half bar, you want to create a harmonic cell. I've talked about this before, but that's really going to help that small clip stand up on its own, and it just makes it so much more interesting. And we can accomplish this by using pitch modulation. So let's go to our 3x OSC. I'm going to turn the range up to 4, and then let's create an automation clip for this. I picked 4 semitones because that's I think going to give me enough room to play around with the pitch here. But if I maybe go any further than that, it's probably unnecessary. So I think 4 semitones will be great, and you can experiment with that, the range, I guess. There is no rules for this. So again, this is worth just experimenting with, playing around, taking your time, trying out different curves, and just having fun with it. So I'm going to take the snap off to none and just have a little play with this pitch curve here, this pitch automation, and see what we can come up with. But this is really where the sound comes together, in my opinion. So it's worth taking your time here. Again, let's have a playback here and see what we can come up with. Could try, even just altering the curve like this makes a drastic difference too. And I mean, I could spend all day doing this, but just for the sake of the video, I'm going to maybe leave it there. Let's hear how that sounds with the top loop. Not bad. So there you go. That's another way that I would maybe go about, making a rolling bass line like this. And like I mentioned, I kind of went through this pretty fast, but it's really worth taking your time, setting the filters just right, dialing in the distortion, dialing in the EQs, really taking time with the sidechain curves and the pitch curves, and I mean, because this is all those little things play a huge factor in the end result. So hopefully you found this video useful. Leave me a comment or question as always, and I will see you soon. Take care.